Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back. I'm your girl, Princess Leah, 888. And today we are going to tap into some weekend messages from Spirit. If you're new to my channel, thanks for being here. Welcome. My mission and hope in daily practice is to continue doing my part to heal the heart of the divine masculine and the sacred feminine through conscious love. And this is a time right now where it is the most excruciating of I don't even have a word for it, because excruciating is a feeling, is one way you could describe it, but it's almost more so like the birth of a child. How uncomfortable and painful it is for the mother, and probably the child too, right? The baby. But the mother giving birth, this is the feeling right now, for the feminine and the masculine collective, for the heart of the masculine and the sacred feminine, collectively, universally, globally, eternally, cosmically, and personally. Because right now we are in a death and rebirth, the grief of the death that we have been shedding, the death of our old self, the death of our old life, the death of our old patterns, behaviors were in order to heal the wounds that are stored in the heart chakra for the masculine. The wounds have to be acknowledged. And these are wounds in the masculine within us all, despite whether you identify as male or female or gender. I'm going to keep this Palo Santo lit just to keep this energy clearing, because again, it's when you're grieving the death, a death portal, and you're also moving into the birth portal of birthing your new self. Beloveds, we are coming off the week of the eclipse, the Lunar New Year. The Chinese New Year was on the same day as the lunar eclipse, moving out of the year of the snake and into the year of the fire horse. I'm sure everyone has been talking about it. But the reason why this is so intense, it's not just that, it is also the beginning of a brand new 30-year cycle with Saturn in Aries, which is the planet of karma and responsibility, and Aries, the sign of yourself, your in personal self. And Saturn is making us look at what karmic cycles are we completing for good, and what are we choosing to begin with. And that can be ending old cycles, beginning new cycles of pattern behaviors, cycle, loops and trauma, ending old generational cycles of trauma and beginning new generational cycles of healing. And you can choose to do that within your own heart space first, as well as your collective. And if you're doing that simultaneously within yourself and a collective, that can also even be a very uncomfortable dance, because as you both are releasing fears of creating the same cycles again if wounds are coming up. But beloveds, the biggest thing that Spirit is here to remind me on a daily, moment by moment, is that the dance between the healing and the grieving of the wounding in your heart is not an easy dance. Okay, this is not a simple, little shuffle ball change we going on here. We are in a full-on tango with our old self and our new and our authentic self. That's what I'm hearing. Our false self, our past self, and our authentic true self. And that means releasing the wounds from our hearts, the wounds from our past, and that means feeling it all, letting it come up, because the only way, as that snake sheds, it has to rub off the skin, and that's very uncomfortable. And we're in this post-eclipse, post-year of the snake kind of hangover right now. Don't even know what time it is, what year it is, what planet are we living on right now. Everything feels inside out, like everything feels flip turn upside down. And there's adjustment that is needed. There's a pause that we're in during this kind of eclipse hangover. Not to mention the pre-shadows of Mercury retrograde that's happening next week on the 26th, I believe, is when it is going retrograde. And it'll be retrograde in Pisces for a few weeks. I think it's about 3 weeks or so. And then maybe even 4 weeks. Yeah, and then it goes direct at the end of April. So most of April, or most of March, that's what I mean. March is going to be this reflective space. But also, slowing things down. The year of the horse, the fire horse, wants to move forward quickly. However, we also just entered Pisces season, so I moved my little amethyst crystal here onto the Pisces calendar. And Pisces is the final zodiac of the chart. That is the most ancient, sage, wise, intuitive, psychic, dreamer. It's learned from all of the sisters and brothers ahead, and it's very emotional as well. But when you tap into the higher light of the wisdom of Pisces, you get that ancient sage. But there's a light and a shadow aspect to everything, to all. The duality is what we're learning to integrate without blame or shame or fear or doubt or guilt. And that's the healing process, One of my favorite quotes that my therapist said, and I will always shout her out, because healers need healing too. It does not make a healer fake for having his or her own wounds and navigating through their own journey. They're not perfect. Healers are not perfect, okay? I just feel like I need to say that. And maybe because personally I have been feeling like, am I even supposed to be, can I even still share? Can I even still, do I have, am I doing it right? And maybe you're even asking yourself these questions right now because we are in this birth, this death and birth, simultaneous transformation right now. And we've been in it for a while, but this is where the death occurred on the eclipse, and now the birth, the grief of the death and the birth of what's coming in. We're in this crowning phase. Have you ever been in labor? Have you ever seen anyone labor? If not, just know. You don't just have a contraction and pop the baby out. It takes a whole process. You got to get all the way up to the 10th dilation. You got to, maybe or may not have the water break. You got to, some of you may actually be giving birth right now, literally. But if it's metaphorically for you, spiritually for you, the discomfort is the same. You're having to not only, and this is a kind of a harsh word to say, to kill your old self, your ego self, the false out of alignment self, the part of you that has been in this survival mode, out of the woundings of your heart. The divine masculine, that masculine energy within us is the part of us that brings our ideas into fruition. And so if that part of us is wounded because of maybe whatever trauma you might have gone through, or adverse experiences in your childhood or adulthood or relationships, whatever, where your dreams were maybe put down, where your personality was told it was too much, where you had a big emotions, that's where the heart, the emotions, we're told that you need to stuff those down because nobody wants to hear them. It's making people uncomfortable. Male or female, humans have been distorted in this space, in their heart space, for too long. And right now, as we're healing, we're feeling. And as the masculine collective is awakening and transforming and grieving the loss of so much of who they were and told they could not be, or who they are but told they could not be. And I'm also seeing this for the actual male collective, but for everyone as well, because women, we have been taught as well to keep your emotions to yourself, because if it's too much, you're too much, and you're too crazy, or you're too dramatic, and and so then we feel wrong for having those emotions as well. And then we blame each other for not having the emotional intelligence that we need. In order for us to be interdependent with each other. And right now what's happening is we're releasing the blame, right? But still there's a lot that is coming up. Maybe some anger because that comes with grief. Maybe some denial that's being awakened that can cause some depression. Maybe you're trying to bargain and trade to make the loss a little less painful. But one day, beloved, you will come into acceptance, and you might come into acceptance. Grief is not linear, and there's no time frame of how long it should take to heal through your grief. It does not matter. Sometimes we take lifetimes to heal through our grief, not because we're doing something wrong, but because it is not linear. And as there are layers upon layers of acceptance and anger and denial and self-discovery, the more we're constantly expanding and unfolding and learning about ourselves, the more we realize, well, crap, I'm a little more messed up than I thought I was. I'm actually not as, healthy as I thought I was. Or I didn't realize that this particular thing has been a very important root cause to a lot of the pain and suffering. And right now, as we are birthing our new selves, Neptune in Aries after 160 years coming into Aries as well, and having Saturn and Aries both at this 0 point degree, Neptune is the planet of water, the planet that rules over Pisces, and that dreamer. But it's also the shadow aspect of the Pisces, and Neptune energy is being more way too in our dreams or way too in our fantasies, to the point of losing sight on truth. And I'm not going to say reality, because reality, as Abraham Hicks would say, is relative essentially to your perspective. And sometimes it's more real. Your imagination can be more real. Your feelings, your vibration is more real than what is being shown in front of you right now. And that's where walking by faith and not by sight is so important, especially right now, as Neptune starts to unveil maybe the parts of us and the parts where we have been a little bit more dreamy and fantastical. And we're kind of seeing, was that truth though? Was that actually in alignment with truth, with divine truth, with God's truth, gracious, omnipresent, divine love, conscious love? That's why my lifelong mission out the gate has been understanding love, trying to understand love, because out the gate I was already a wounded warrior in the heart space. Already was my masculine wounded in the heart, as most of us are born with a wounded heart, as it trickles down generations after generations. And that's why we are here ending generational cycles of trauma. And this is the work. And only you can decide if you want to do the work to heal your heart. And that doesn't mean fast, fun, or easy all the time. Abraham Hicks might say, yes, choose the path of least resistance, choose fast, fun, and easy, get too closer of the, in that vibration, because that is the healing vibration. That is what we are desiring, and everything that we do is because we believe it will reach that fast, or it'll reach that fun, that happiness, that joy, that bliss, that peace. So yes, move in those closer directions, but also find the discernment of, is this choice of the path of least resistance fast, fun, and easy because it is also bypassing and numbing what, the empty gas tank that is, showing up. If I just act like it's not there, put a smiley face, that's not going to, eventually the car will run out of gas. Eventually the car will stop running and you'll be running on fumes. But you'll still have that smiley face sticker though, This reminds me of this Four Cups energy here from the Divine Feminine Modern Goddess deck. The smiley face shirt on the beach. This divine cup offering, yet her arms are still crossed and her back is turned to the water and is ignoring this divine cup of joy, of fulfillment, of love, because of these 3 cups that may have been too painful to trust that this other cup really could be something of divine. And that is something that we go through with our heart, our wounded heart. Once burned, twice shy. In everything. Love, career, running after, chasing after our dreams. As soon as someone says you can't do it or you get rejected, it's easy to just say, I don't know if I can trust another, if I can take another rejection. I don't know if I can trust another lover after I've been so hurt. And this is the work of breaking those cycles. This is the work of healing that heart. And the sacred feminine is doing the same thing. The sacral is where the wounds are also stored in the feminine collective. The sacral of our life force energy, that's where the baby grows. The conception of your creativity, your ideas. And if you have been wounded, if your sacred, even sexual energy has been tainted or distorted by trauma or rejection, once burned, twice shy, can you trust again? And we're healing through that though. We're healing through that right now, but it does take time. And all of the false illusions are being lifted around what is true, what is our true authentic self, who are we showing up as, and who are we truly created to be. And we might be realizing right now that the gap is bigger than we would like to admit, and that there's some work that we each individually have to do in order to close that gap of who we've been showing up as and who we truly authentically know ourselves to be, who God created us to be. The source, life force, energy that flows through us, through our sacral chakra, is healing. And the shadow aspect of the sacral chakra is guilt. And the light aspect of the sacral chakra is pleasure. And if you have felt guilty for even feeling pleasure, your sacral chakra is wounded. If you feel like you don't deserve to enjoy all of the blessings of life's pleasures, all of the beauties and the benefits of this world, of your human experience, then you have been cut off, pinched off from your life force energy, from soul energy, from the gracious, omnipresent, divine love that you were created, your essence of who you are. And so we forget who we are, and that's why we show up out of whack. That's why we show up in ways that are inauthentic to ourselves. That's why we betray ourselves time and time again, because we have been pinched off to our true, authentic source energy. And right now, what we're doing is we are returning back to that. We're returning back home. We're returning back to our true, authentic North Star, our heart, the void, the void that has been in our heart, that open, wounded, empty, wounded void is being healed so it can be fulfilled. Fulfilled. If you felt that you have not been worthy of being fulfilled, that can really be a hard pill to swallow as you ask yourself, why and how do I reach that point of fulfillment, of feeling worthy of fulfillment? We have to let go of all the guilt in our solar plexus. We have to let go of the shame of being who we are, of the mistakes we have made, of not always getting it right, of feeling bad for who we've hurt, and forgiving ourselves and others for hurting us, and forgiving others as God graciously forgives us time and time and time and time again. Not because we are reading the Bible and going to church and getting baptized. No, not because we are trying to prove that we are worthy, but because we are created. Because we're already here. Because we have made it past all of these trials, tribulations, and I mean, look at this world. Look at our history. Look at the events that happen over time in humanity, the genocides and all the things, and the natural disasters, and we have been the few that have survived. But maybe you're having a little guilt a bit, and maybe you're still also, we are still also feeling perhaps guilty to receive the blessings and beauties and benefits. Why? Because we're wondering, will this happen again? And it might. It just might. But it also might not. So I hope this is making sense to someone. This is a channeled message directly from the heart space, from spirit and my spirit. And so I'm going to come on. I'm going to turn off the podcast a little bit, and I'm going to tap into our heart chakra with the sound bowl healing. And you can place your hand on your heart. If you'd like to join me, you can close your eyes. And I'll see if there's any other messages that want to come through as we tap into this frequency of the heart. Spirit, divine, however you want to call it, thank you for this day. For your grace, for this really uncomfortable space. Because just as a mother knows that when she's giving birth, something miraculous is on the other side, she doesn't give up because she knows she has to push through. She can't suck in the baby and not have the baby. She has to push through. And just as a mother is at her last push, the moment she feels like she's going to break in half, the moment she feels like she cannot go any further, that is when the midwife says, this is the last push. So if that's what you're feeling right now, beloved, that you can't go any further, that you are about to break in half, give it one more push. Because you are about to birth something of the marvelous. Trust. Believe. Surrender. Surrender. When you are at the space where you have no idea, when you realize I thought everything that I thought I knew is not what I thought I knew, and I'm so confused and I don't know where to go and I don't know what to do. That is the space, the 0 degree point. That is the void of the death and the rebirth. That is the space where you surrender. When you thought you knew, but you are realizing that you don't know anything at all. That's when the ego clicks. That's when your authentic, true self breaks through. And that's when you call upon the gracious, omnipresent, divine love and wisdom to guide you even to just one step, one next step, the next right thing. We don't have to have it all figured out right now. We don't have to have our whole life planned out. We don't have to have the next 20 years already agreed to. We don't have to know what tomorrow holds even. We don't have to know what our beloved is doing on the other side of their grief. We don't have to know what this silence and this still means. We don't have to force this our brain is always needing to figure it out. And so when we're in a space of uncertainty, when we're in a void of uncertainty, of unknown, it wants to create scenarios, it wants to find answers, it wants to diagnose, it wants to control. Because uncertainty for the brain, the unknown equals unsafe. But we're learning to walk by faith. Faith in its purest form is when you believe so heavily before you see it. You don't even need to see it, you believe it. so heavily that you don't even need to see proof. And you don't have to prove anything. And you don't have to explain anything. And you don't have to define anything. You just sit in that space of discomfort and peace. This is medicine, men and women, this is how earth mamas give birth in bathtubs by themselves. That they've been doing for centuries before men took over the birthing process. They became one with that child. They became one with nature and the pains that they were experiencing. They became one, and they pushed, and they trusted, and they surrendered, and they had faith. Of course, yes, I hear people, I can hear people say right now in their heads, well, that's why a lot of women died in childbirth, because we didn't have doctors. Well, yes, you're right. That's the beauty of the evolution of humans, right? But what I'm not meaning that in this moment. Spirit isn't meaning that in this moment. Spirit is meaning the essence of the earth mama, one with earth, one with the natural death and birthing process, cycles of life, the ending of one to begin anew. And this year of 2026 is all that it's about. That's exactly what 2 plus 2 plus 6 is 10, which is the end, completion of one cycle, the ending of one thing, and the beginning of new, something new. Surrender as the caterpillar surrenders to itself, to eating itself, to cocooning itself, to crystallizing itself, to transform itself. Don't go back, beloved, to old habits, to old patterns, to old versions that are outdated and out of alignment with who you know yourself to be, because this is the 0 degree point of where you can choose to recreate new cycles, new karmic cycles. Karma is not bad. Karma is consequence. Karma is action and result. So what is it that you, even if, let's say you're in a relationship, you may not want to end that relationship just because you guys have bad habits and old patterns. If it's possible, if both parties are willing to do this work, to sit in this fire, to birth and decay at the same time, to give each other the gracious space that you need and ask for the mercy that you need from gracious, omnipresent, divine, then what you can do together is you can end old cycles of generational patterns of addictions, of codependency, and you can turn your relationship around into a new cycle, new karmic wheel, a new karmic cycle for the next 30 years with Aries or with Saturn. Taking responsibility for yourself, for your own energy, for your own growth. And if you both are willing to do that, you can be individuals together. That is the definition of interdependence, but you both have to be willing. It takes two to tango, and this is the dance that we are doing to heal the heart of the divine masculine and the sacred feminine through conscious love. It doesn't work. A tango doesn't work when one partner won't dance. A tango doesn't work when one partner is not willing to learn the steps, so keeps, stepping on the feet of the other partner. It doesn't work when one is not willing or there or available. It is a two-person. And that's the same thing with your own self, with your own feminine and masculine. The only way that the flow and the balance and the harmony of the feminine and the masculine can come into as above, so below, the only way heaven can come to earth with your creations into fruition is if you do both of the work of allowing yourself to dream, allowing yourself to feel, as well as allowing yourself to create it to create a plan of action, to take action. Thank you, Spirit. So, believe in yourself, beloved. Trust in yourself, beloved. Forgive yourself, beloved. Surrender yourself, your old self, to the gracious, omnipresent divine. And let your life be transformed. But what we accidentally do sometimes is we start moving in that space, and then we get against some resistance, and then we turn back because it gets scary, or we get triggered back to feeling rejected, and we just want to run, and we go the opposite direction around, and we never actually get into the alignment of our true self, of our true authentic self. Or we might get into alignment with our true authentic self at one point, and that's when we feel really great, but then something pulls us back, which you could call gremlins, the disempowering beliefs, the limiting thoughts, the PTSD of the trauma can come and bring you images back, and you can then all of a sudden the partner that you're looking at is not the partner you're looking at, but it's the exes that have hurt you. And that's exactly what this Four of Cups is saying, is representing. And for the feminine collective, for that feminine energy of your creativity, of your dreams, your dreams hardly even get off the floor, because the moment it's getting momentum, you start remembering these cups that didn't work out, that you're like, I'm not doing, I can't, maybe I shouldn't take this divine cup. Maybe it'll just be the same as last time. But those limiting beliefs is what's keeping us stuck, and what's keeping us in such distortion, and what's keeping us in such disharmony with ourselves, and thus not able to be harmonious with others. And it's a very sad, painful, lonely journey. Stop doubting yourself. The Seven of Wands in reverse. Doubting what you know is your truth. I just saw the Empress card. What you know is your truth. Doubting your abilities, your creativity. Queen of Wands, yes. Two of Crystals, yes. Step into that confidence. You don't have to master your craft. You don't have to keep juggling this act for people anymore. What you need to master is your confidence. The confidence to take off the mask, and the confidence to put down the juggling act, the confidence to step into your authentic truth, the confidence to release the blame and the shame and the guilt and the doubt and the fears within yourself, The confidence to accept and receive this beautiful divine cup of love that wants to come through. The confidence to step into that empress that I saw that wants to be out as confirmation. The confidence to receive all of the blessings and beauties and abundance from God, from Source, from Jah, Allah, however you want to call it. The Empress never feels lack or scarcity. The Empress is never afraid of when a next meal is coming through. The Empress is never afraid if she's going to have enough, because the Empress trusts wholeheartedly with her whole unwavering faith that the gracious, omnipresent divine will always provide, will always protect. The Empress is not afraid of the perils at night. I'm hearing this reggae song from my childhood. If Jah is standing by my side, then why should I be afraid? Look at this. Of the pestilence that crawleth by night. Look at that. These are the dualities that we can constantly jump back and forth from. Our pure, authentic truth, Empress, divine feminine self, creatrix, too out of alignment, fear-based, anxious, insecure. But the strength is within you to know, to conquer those fears, to conquer this valley of death that you are in, to conquer the pain of the birth that you are moving in, that you are growing, that you are giving. All of this abundance, all of these options, all of this is for you to step into your independence, your interdependence, to build the confidence within you. But yes, you do have to walk through some foggy, uncertain, unclear. You have to walk through some unclarity, the discomfort of the unclarity, of the uncertain, of the unknown. But you have to do that with this curious, childlike, adventurous mindset if you want to get through it with strength and not fear. Ooh, thank you, Spirit. And that's where then you will reach that clarity, divine clarity. That's when you trust and surrender that God will cut out all of these confusions and the dust will settle, the fog will settle. You will get to calmer waters. You will get to calmer waters. Move a little bit in silence and, I'm hearing move discreetly right now. Move cautiously right now, because you are still, there's that 4 cups, because you are still healing from the wounds. You are healing through these wounds, no matter how recent or how long. If the wounds haven't been healed, that inner child is still crying from them. If the wound never got taken care of, then it could have gotten infected or if the wound never fully got a chance to heal because of constant rubbing up against it or constant re-traumatization, constant deceit. Spirit is saying, be a little bit more cautious, move a little bit more silently right now, because you are so raw in this grieving, healing, rebirthing process of getting your stability back, of clearing the energy I can't stop looking at these cards because what we don't see, this is all that we are not seeing. This is why faith is so hard. And this is why most of us give up. I'm realizing about anxiety, something that I have struggled with a lot, something that has been a part of my mental health journey. And what I realized in the last 24 hours, 48 hours, is that anxiety is when you're not fully trusting in your faith and divine. Because anxiety is the unknown. It's freaking out about not knowing what's coming, and then trying to place all these worst case scenarios or all these scenarios in your head. If you've seen Inside Out too, when anxiety comes in, when she has an anxiety attack, she takes over and she bottles up joy and sadness and fear and anger and discuss all the primary emotions and throws them in the subconscious or wherever it goes, in the deepest parts of where she doesn't want to. They lock it up, and I think it's like their darkest fears. I don't know. I forgot. I'm gonna have to watch it again. But what I'm saying with that is that anxiety took over because anxiety stopped trusting, because anxiety did not partner with joy and sadness and fear, and the way that in the first Inside Out, Joy had to learn to integrate all of the emotions together, that you can feel joy and sadness at the same time, and they can work together, that you can, balance and harmonize with joy and anger, or sadness and disgust, or anger and fear. They can co-create, collaborate, cooperate together. So as you are healing, as you are both simultaneously dying to your old self, dying to the ego false self, and birthing, manifesting your true authentic, where's that Empress somewhere around here, your confident self, your authentic self, the confidence in your authentic self, as you are birthing your confidence, as you are birthing this it's a new version, but it's not new because it is the you that you have been pinched off from all along. It's not a new version of you. It's not a higher version of you. It's not about reaching this higher destination and higher timeline. It's about right now, right here, learning to balance and harmonize with who you authentically are, with all that you have right now is enough, the Empress says. Even with my flaws and my insecurities and my pain, and the anxiety wants to fly out, even from the deceit. You see, usually my cards are a little bit more carefully pulled out, but this is a thick conversation is what I'm hearing. And this might be all that is in your head right now. Look at this. I didn't even see this 10 of crystals that was underneath the Page of Wands. When you do allow yourself to navigate this journey as the page, the childlike, innocent, adventurous, unafraid, unapologetic, you will step into that's where you step into your abundance. That's where you step into new generational cycles of abundance, from lack to abundance, from scarcity to fulfillment. Ooh. For generations, this is how you recreate. This is how you end generational cycles of trauma. This is how you create new generational cycles of healing, of love, of conscious love. Ooh, thank you, Spirit. That is such beautiful, beautiful, beautiful energy. I see this Emperor under the Knight of Wands. Follow that passion. Don't give up on that passion. Be the divine masculine that you are. Look at that oppression. I can't even stop in the Tower. These are this is the awakenings of the oppressions of over yourself that can cause a lot of breakage. Mental breakdowns is what I'm hearing with the Tower, where the Tower literally crumbles everything that you have built and known. Because, you know why? Because I discovered this in a conversation with my beloved. And I realized that conscious love, true love, real love is going to force you to look at everything that you are not. It's going to make you look at, it's going to force you, challenge you to look at what everything that is not love, so that you can break those cycles, right? This is with the Divine Masculine deck. So you can break those cycles, end those cycles. But what if you have been oppressed your whole life, that you didn't even realize that the love that you thought you knew was actually all false love? You have been operating from a place of distorted, false love, thinking that was true love, real love. And you're realizing now that that has been false. It has been transactional. It has been conditional. It has been codependent. Everything that you thought was love was false. So now that you are recognizing this beautiful new divine activation of love, conscious love, where you consciously choose healthy, consciously choose to break these cycles, consciously choose to look at your faults. That doesn't mean you're gonna be perfect, because again, you're going from your whole life, you're going from, this is what I have known, this is what I've been dealt, this is what I've been given, this is what I was taught, and it's not your fault. It's the oppressor. No, it's not to blame, right? It's just the unfortunate distortions of the cycles that we have been in for generations. And now it's up to us to decide if we want to continue those cycles or if we want to end them, so that we can move into these new cycles of abundance. So that you can move into this new generational, you can create a new generation for your family, for your children, for your children's children, of wealth. And not just financial wealth, but yes, financial wealth too, but also spiritual wealth. Because we have been suffering in spiritual death, spiritual dis-ease, spiritual distortion, dysfunction for so long, and we didn't even know it, and now we know it. And that's why this Tower moment is coming out, because it's like everything I thought I knew was true is not, and now I don't know what to do. But what we're being told to do is to surrender. Because you are coming into your beautiful divine masculine and feminine. You are building your own empire. You are learning how to empower yourself and lead from your true, authentic north, home, heart. You're learning to tap into the beautiful luminescence, the vibration of their heart, high heart, unfurling back to true, real, conscious, divine love. Very beautiful. Thank you, Spirit. Very beautiful. So I know I had some of that Lemuria already pulled out. I just want to pull this over. Awakened awareness. Yep. Yep, yep, yep. The 17th, which is when we had the eclipse, something awakened, an awareness awakened, and what it is, what are we continuing, what do we want to continue, and what do we want to stop, and how can we continue, how can we stop what we want to stop, but still be able to continue, you know, your life. Like, you still are in the same vessel, you're still in the same human body. Nothing externally really is changing right now, but everything internally is unrecognizable. Just from, look, last week, just from the end of a tough cycle. This is so beautiful. The end of a tough cycle approaches, beloveds. Remember that. Remember that, divine masculine. Remember that, divine feminine. It is safe to trust. I'm hearing. It is safe to trust and love again. It is safe to trust and love again because you are ending these tough cycles. This is a time to give rather than take. New moon in Virgo, full moon in Capricorn. These are earth signs because we are shifting Earth's frequency to a higher frequency. But right now we need to give. What I'm hearing is give grace, give space, give patience, give mercy and forgiveness. Forgive. I'm hearing this song called If You Want Love. I think it's by NF. And it goes, if you want love, you gon' have to go through the pain. If you want love, you gon' have to learn how to change. If you want trust, you gon' have to give some away. If you want love. Okay? This is a time to give trust. This is time to give love. This is time to give, forgive, rather than to foretake, is what I'm hearing. This is, oh, what else is it a time for? Thank you, Spirit. Ooh. This is a time for healing. Ooh. I can't stop saying oof because I feel it in my heart and my soul and every fiber of my being. Thank you so much, because this is exactly the message I needed to hear more than, and you know, and if you are listening and it's hitting you the way it's hitting me, make sure you hitting that like button. This is a time to give rather than take, and a time for healing, because the end of a tough cycle approaches. So balance spirituality and practicality this full moon in Pisces. And there's that Queen of Wands. Confidence is your key to success. You don't have to master your craft, beloved. You just need to master your confidence. Ooh, yes, 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 yes. Or else nothing will come of the situation. Know when it's time to void it out. When it's time to complete the actions, the behaviors, the patterns. It doesn't necessarily mean having to cut out the person. You don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater. But you can take the baby out of the bathwater and then drain the water, you know? You don't have to sit in nasty, murky water just because you don't want to throw the baby out of it. It's not all or nothing is what I'm hearing. It's not black or white. This is the gray area, the void that we are in, and this is why we're being asked and encouraged to balance our spirituality and practicality. And I'm hearing Pisces North Node and the Virgo South Node axis. We have Pisces and Virgo right here. That's the Two of Crystals here. The balance and the harmony of integrating your past and your shadows and the pains and the cycles that are ending without blame or shame or guilt or fear or doubt. With love, to integrate them with compassion and patience and kindness, loving compassion and radical acceptance. And I'm hearing the practice, the Buddhist practice is loving kindness, radical acceptance. And I'm seeing the High Priestess in my mind's eye, learning to integrate the shadows and the light aspects, the good, the bad, and the ugly. That maybe sometimes we don't want to accept about ourselves or another beloved, especially when we put our beloveds on a pedestal or our parents on a pedestal or this dream career, and we feel like it's so far out of reach for us to actually be able to harmonize and balance and dance with, that we then give up on even trying. Or we then don't know what to do when we realize that those people are people, that they have real life cycles they're breaking too. They have real life trauma that they're trying to heal through and trust as well. And it's then your choice to ask yourself, can I still love this person knowing that they're not as perfect as I hoped and thought that they would be, right? When the masks come off, when the you know, truth is revealed, when the veil is lifted, can I still choose this person? Can I still forgive this person? Can I still love this person? And if no, that's okay. But also asking the question of, then was it a conditional love based on this ideal that I had of this person? And the answer is yes. And that doesn't mean that it necessarily is wrong for you to step away from that if you don't want. But also, it's also not wrong if you say, I recognize that this person isn't as perfect as I hoped, but I still want to dance with them. And we might step on each other's toes every once in a while because we're still learning the dance. So, love and nurture your body. Always do your best. Stay in and look at all these flowers, earth, more earth energy. Earth is what I'm hearing. Love and nurture your body because you are worthy of being fulfilled. Your vessel is the most important thing to nurture and take care of right now, because this is the only one we got. Honor and nurture your body because it's the only one that you're going to come into this particular lifetime right with and leave with. The only person that you actually come into this world and leave with this world is with you. So stay in the present moment and keep your attention on today, this moment. Stay in the present moment. This is the beginning of a new understanding, a new dream. And this is helping. This is for the divine feminine that is afraid to trust in what is being offered because of being stuck in the past. The surrender, the release of those old pains will help you stay. That is what I'm hearing, is faith and presence is the cure to anxiety and depression. Wow. And I know that, right? We know that. But do we actually truly believe that? or practice that. We can do our best though, and remember, you have to remember, if you're coming from traumatic cycles, it is a constant moment to moment, thought to thought practice, because you might be in your Empress, Emperor alignment one moment, and then fear and doubt comes in and you are bounced out of alignment in the very next. And awakened awareness is about, that is the consciousness, that is the consciousness with that we are awakening. That is what conscious love is making those conscious choices to choose love even in the face of. But again, awareness is half the battle. But that's where that tower moment came through, because that is when we awaken to these truths. We're awakening to these, patterns about ourselves, these addictions about ourselves, these truths about ourselves that are not pretty. And we forgive ourselves with loving kindness anyway. And instead, and we release the blame and the anger, on our past for how it fell into pieces, with radical acceptance. Not saying that what happened is okay, and it's not taking someone who was your perpetrator off the hook. It's to say that I can't change what happened, so and holding on to it with resentment, or holding on to them with resentment, is not changing anything, except for my ability to receive love that is here, my ability to be in this present moment. So don't make assumptions, assume nothing. In any kind of relationship, we can make the assumption that others know what we think, and we don't have to say what we want. We assume that they're going to do what we want because they know us so well. If they don't do what we want, we feel hurt and think, how could you do that? You should know. You should know, is what I'm hearing. You should have known, or shame on you. But again, when you're coming from cycles, when you have realized that, when your brain as a child was altered chemically because of trauma or adverse childhood experiences, your brain chemistry literally does not know better, because that's what it learned to know. It learned to live in fear out of protection and survival. It learned to believe that those who love me, I can't trust. So then it learns to not trust love. And right now what we're doing is we're awakening to that, and we're rewiring our brain. And sometimes our partners don't know, our parents don't know, our friends don't know, our bosses don't know that this is what we're going through, unless we tell them, unless we talk to them about it. And to not assume that they just know what to do in that moment and what you need in that moment. Don't get mad at them because they didn't show up the way you wanted them to show up. They didn't know. They didn't know. And if they can't know if you don't say anything. And you may know because you may have been taught to not say anything. So you're learning, we're becoming more aware, and sometimes in that midst of becoming aware of where we are, it can be really disturbing of that discovery, because you're like, again, I didn't realize that this was where I was at, and that can feel a little bit disempowering because of the grief of all that you thought you knew was false. But, beloved, all of your problems have solutions. And you can only know where you're going by first knowing where you're at. And if we think we are on 51st Street, but we're actually on 29th Street, not going to find our destination, right? So awareness is first recognizing where we are so that we can know and choose where we want to go from here. Where do you want to go from here, beloveds? Because sometimes all you can go from here is up when you hit rock bottom, if that's where you're at and that's how you feel, the breakdown to break through. And then you know that, so you can then move up into abundance, into your true, authentic self. Ooh, yes, there's the oof again. Comment in the chat, oof, if this is resonating with you. So, a nice long message, and the number 20. Could be a soul path number, but I'm also hearing partnership 20, but it's also reducing down to 2. 2 of crystals. 222 is divine alignment with your true self. I don't feel like saying higher self right now. I want to say true self, because sometimes higher self, like I said earlier, can feel like someone outside of you that you have to hurry up and achieve to get to in order to be happy or worthy. But that's not where we're at right now, honeys. We are aligning with our true, authentic timeline self so that we can move into our highest timeline and self. Does that make sense? Okay. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for helping me move out of the space I was in, because these messages are also for me. I am still just as much human with just as much baggage and am healing just as much as the next person. Healers need healing too. And the wounded healer, which is Chiron, is actually, and I'm hearing actually the saying of saints were first sinners. And to really know how to teach is by really experiencing. There's a difference between wisdom and intelligence. Intelligence you get from reading books. Wisdom is from experience. And you can only experience how to heal from your wounds if you've been wounded. Hence, Chiron, the wounded healer, who is also in Aries right now, along with Neptune and Saturn. So this is the time, the turn point of you becoming your true, authentic self, beloved. And it's a beautiful, beautiful birth. I can't wait to see all that you will manifest. This is from Spirit saying this. I received this as well. Because you are very special. And you are approaching the end of a very tough cycle. And you should be very proud of the healing that you have done and the growth you have done and the becoming you are being. Sometimes we cannot move forward until we accept where we are. Right? So give grace to yourself, to your healing. Give grace to your past, to your unfolding, to your discovery, to your manifesting, to your body, to your partner. We are all in this, mirroring each other, reflecting each other. So, I hope this helped. We deserve all the blessings and beauties and benefits that this life has to offer. That is our birthright. Pleasure, happiness, joy, abundance, right? Have faith. Have faith and surrender. You'll be okay. Airi, and be in faith. Everything is all right. Everything will be all right in good faith. Until next time, take care of yourself. Peace and love. Namaste. Bye.